Good morning, everyone. I am SuperDerek, and it's time for your JRPG Weekly Update. And last week, we had a bit of news come from Twitter, as sometimes it kind of does. The news that I'm most interested in, and that's the big headline, is that the Bravely Default official Twitter, the Japanese one, mind you, tweeted a picture, a drawing of some Bravely-style characters, and a caption or text that basically read that they are hard at work on a new project. They said that's slightly different from their usual fare, I guess. They said it's a slightly different challenge, but they think it'll be a good game and they hope that people enjoy it. So could this mean a Bravely third? Or would this maybe be some sort of like Bravely Gaiden or some sort of offshoot? They said that it's a slightly different challenge. I'm assuming it means that it's not necessarily a direct sequel to Bravely 1 or 2, or it's going to be slightly different from what they've done in the past, maybe? Or maybe it could be something as cool as maybe porting Bravely 1 and 2 over to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, that would be slightly different from what they've been doing, I suppose. It sends the mind wandering down many different paths, doesn't it? What do you think that this slightly different project might be, guys? That's what I wanted to pass off to you here. And also, at the end of the video, I'll have a question of the day for you to respond to as well if you're interested. So make sure you stick around to the end to see that. And also, there was another bit of sort of news and sort of not news, but I figured the last time that somebody renewed a trademark was, I believe, for Lost Story, and a lot of people got really excited for it. And mostly I included that before to set people's expectations back down to, normal levels, because trademark renewals don't really mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of RPG news or video game news. And Chrono Break from back in the, early 2000s, mid 2000s, is a perfect example of trademarks meaning not very much, really. So with that in mind, the Lost Odyssey trademark was renewed by Microsoft recently, and it's been making some headlines, it's been making the rounds. I don't think it means anything yet. As a matter of fact, nothing really means anything until it's made an official announcement, but it could potentially mean that they're looking at maybe doing something with Mistwalker again. I don't know. That'd be really cool. But let's keep our expectations in check and just be excited for the things that have been announced. Like the fact that, the Bravely Default team is working on a new game. That's what should be headlines, and let's not get overly excited about Lost Odyssey. Although we have seen a lot of cool things with Xbox 360 games and Xbox games getting remade or remastered, sort of, made to run better on the Xbox One. And if that happened here, that'd be really cool. Or maybe they've already done it. I don't even know. I don't keep up with the Xbox One. I can't help it. I'm not a huge fan of the Xbox One, but it does have some pretty good games, and I really shouldn't dog on it as much as I do. It's hard to get to like the Xbox when very few games that I'm interested in make it over to that platform, Whatever. Let's change subjects. Let's talk about some new games and ports that were announced. And the big one or the big two really, are Final Fantasy titles are coming to the Switch and to the Xbox One. So yeah, Microsoft, you're getting there. The Final Fantasy titles in question are the Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD remakes, which are basically on every console from the last 30 years at this point. And also, Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, is going to be making its way as well to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. So Final Fantasy X and X-2 apparently are coming April 16th, whereas Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, is coming out April 30th. If you want to buy the Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD remakes for the 17th time, here's your chance. And if you want to play the Zodiac Age on something else, like the Nintendo Switch or the Xbox One, this is your chance as well. And man, Final Fantasy XII, I really do want to give that another go at some point. I feel kind of like my hands are a little bit tied. I really want to play through all the Final Fantasies in order, but I don't know if I want to wait, through 14 different Final Fantasy titles before I make my way to Final Fantasy 12. And by that, I mean it also would include like 10-2 and probably like some other Final Fantasy games, maybe Dirge of Cerberus. So I know that there are other games besides the mainline Final Fantasies that I would want to play before making my way, despite the fact, you know what, we're going way off topic all over again. So let's shift gears again back to new games and port announcements. I am just all over the place. And this actually happened a little bit ago, guys. Somebody mentioned it that, hey, I didn't talk about it in my last one, but it's kind of big news. I didn't include it in the last one because we didn't really learn anything new. But anyways, Ys VIII was announced. The game was announced officially with a title, Monstrum Nox, which was announced for the PlayStation 4 in 2019. And I didn't really talk about it before because we had already gotten most of the information that we already have, which is that Falcom is working on a new Ys game that would follow the events of Ys VIII and follow Adol Cristen. And it will be the oldest that Adol has ever been in an Ys game. We kind of already knew that from just an interview with the designer behind Ys, right? So it didn't really bring anything new to the table except for the new title, Monstrum Nox. I don't really know what that means. I know it's going to follow the events of Ys VIII, obviously, and it's going to be awesome, I'm sure. And what I'm really most excited for here is the fact that it's going to be coming out for the PlayStation 4 specifically, right? It's not coming out for the Vita first and then getting a port over to PlayStation 4 or Nintendo Switch. It's being made for the PlayStation 4, which means it's going to look gorgeous. And I really can't wait to see what Falcom does when they get to stretch their legs on a modern console. Even Ys VIII, I thought, looked really good on Nintendo Switch. If they really put in the effort, this could look amazing. So I guess that's what I'm really excited for with the whole Ys IX announcements. Again, sorry I didn't talk about that last time, but again, it's just, I guess it's good to revisit topics as they progress. And I am sorry I missed the ball last time. Bandai Namco and the developers between Code Vein have reaffirmed their commitment to delivering Code Vein sometime in 2019. They put out a tweet saying, that they were going to try really hard to get it out by the end of the year. Is sort of a release date update, but not really. I think we all kind of assumed it would come out sometime this year, but hey, Code Vein. It looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. In community news, we have a new fan project that looks actually really cool. This was announced by the Chrono Compendium. They're like partnering with the release of this. It's a free ROM hack for Chrono Trigger, but it was made by Fauntleroy, I think that's how you say his name, and it's called Chrono Trigger Shala Edition, which explores what would happen or what might have happened if Shala escaped from the Ocean Palace. And it's basically a whole new scenario, kind of like a remix of it with this whole other what if scenario included. It's not just like some minor ROM hack. It's supposed to be pretty substantial, and it actually looks and sounds like it's going to be pretty fun, and I kind of really want to dig into it. So it looks like the game is going to be, or the patch rather, the fan hack, the ROM hack, is going to be exclusively available over at the Chrono Compendium until the end of the month, after which point it'll also go to the usual places like romhacking.net. But because it was made kind of like in conjunction with the support of the Chrono Compendium fan base, the people who know Chrono really, really well, because it was involved with the whole community, they decided to go ahead and release it there exclusively for the time being. So if you're interested, definitely go check that out. Congratulations to Fauntleroy for putting that out, because, fan projects are always, really time consuming, and they take a lot of effort and creativity. And, if you're going to try to make something that fits in with the existing Chrono universe, that can be quite an undertaking, especially under the scrutiny of the diehard fans over at the Compendium. So my hat is off to you, Fauntleroy. Now, moving on. I don't think I released anything last week, did I? No, I didn't release anything last week because I actually just started up a new job. I have a full-time job. I am back to being a plain old 9-to-5er, guys. I'd like to thank everybody for your support during my time when I was doing YouTube full-time, and maybe I'll make a whole longer video explaining what's going on. But I basically wasn't able to make ends meet any longer using YouTube exclusively, so I still feel like YouTube is a passion of mine, and I definitely want to continue to try to make stuff weekly, like weekly JRPG weekly updates like this one. But I also want to continue to put out content consistently, and I'm going to try to continue to do that as well. But obviously with a 40-hour-a-week job, that's going to cut into this a little bit. I still really want to keep this train moving, guys. So we will continue with more like Kingdom Hearts reviews are going to be around the corner anytime now. And also I will be streaming in the evenings now because I'll be at work during the day. So with that said, we have a few new games coming out this week that are of interest to me, and I hope they're of interest to you. We've got to start with Fairy Fencer F Advent Dark Force, which is coming to the Nintendo Switch eShop January 17th only. I believe it's eShop only. And it's going to be coming out on other consoles as well. And it's going to include a bunch of DLC bundled in, and I think it's like $40. So, yeah, give that a look if you're interested. Here's one that's not really an RPG, but I've been a fan of the No More Heroes series for a long time, and Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes is coming out this week for Nintendo Switch, and I'm really hoping that that's awesome. And also we've got Y2K, a postmodern RPG. I guess that one is an RPG, in fact. It says so in the title. It is coming to PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, and Onimusha Warlords is coming out on PlayStation 4, Switch, and Xbox One. Again, not really an RPG, but it's a game that I've been a fan of for a long time, so maybe you guys are going to be interested in this as well, despite the tank controls, you know. And then lastly, As Divine Hearts 2 is coming out on the PlayStation 4. Now, as for that question of the week that I mentioned, this is something that I want to start including in these, just so I can get some of your feedback. How do you guys name your protagonists in RPGs? Do you guys name them after yourselves? Do you have a name that you just use every single time? Do you try to name them whatever the canon name is? I always have a lot of struggles when it comes to naming games, naming characters in games that don't already have a name. I usually will sometimes just throw in SuperDerek just because it's easy and that's kind of, you know, my own moniker. But back in the day, I used to name all of my characters a specific hero name. I don't even know what my preference is anymore. And I kind of wonder if naming characters is even important anymore, you know? It used to feel really important, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I've just played so many that I'd rather not have to come up with new names every time. But I'm kind of curious about what you guys think. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this week's JRPG Weekly Update. I will see you guys next week. And until then, guys, I am SuperDerek, and this was all news to me.